By the end of this video, you will have the framework you need to determine the exact best fat burning cardio for you and your situation. Everyone wants to know the best form of fat burning cardio, but every time they look for an answer, every video they go to, they get more confused because either there is no answer or they contradict what somebody else has just told them. Well, here it is, right here, right now. The best form of fat burning cardio is the endurance of a consistent calorie deficit. Now, obviously, I'm kidding, and that's not why you came to this video, but I did want to make a point of saying that a calorie deficit is going to be the primary tool in getting you to burn fat and lose weight. Cardio is just a small portion of that, but it is definitely important, and that's why you're here. So that's what we're going to talk about in detail right now. The reason this is such a complex and confusing thing to answer is because there is no single answer. If you go on a 10-mile walk versus a 10-mile run, you're gonna burn roughly the same amount of calories because you're doing the same amount of work. The difference is when you walk 10 miles, you're gonna spend a lot more time doing that than if you run 10 miles. The other big difference is I don't think I could run 10 miles in a single go without breaking myself. But if I had to walk 10 miles, I'm pretty sure I could get through it. So then why would somebody choose to run versus walk versus whatever else they're deciding to do? Well, for me, it comes down to a simple framework that you can use to apply to your life and your specific set of circumstances to then get the right answer for you. That is the absolute right answer for your situation, but might not be the same for somebody else. And that brings us to 3 categories. The first category being time. The second category being the output that you can do, whether that's because of an injury, because of the energy you have available. It also has to do with the enjoyment of it, because if you absolutely despise doing something, you're not going to continue doing it. And you need that consistency with that output of that activity to make any meaningful progress in putting yourself into a calorie deficit over a long period of time. The third category is going to be recovery. And we're going to talk about each of these categories with examples of how they might apply to your life so that you can then determine the right choice for you. It's also going to allow you to adapt to change along the way, which is going to make up for progress that you're making with your activity or with how to deal with an obstacle or an injury that comes into play. The first big category is time, and for most people, the excuse that they have is, I just don't have time to do cardio. Well, for a lot of people, time is a restricting factor, but I don't think it truly is the limiting factor for most people. And I'm gonna explain that. So let's go back to the running versus walking scenario, but instead we're gonna use 1 mile because that's a more realistic goal for most people. So a 1 mile walk is gonna take you a lot more time than a 1 mile run. So if you are trying to be as efficient with your time as possible, you're probably gonna say, well, I'm gonna do the run because if it burns the same amount of calories, I can save a lot of time. And hey, you know what? I'm gonna be smart because I can run maybe 3 miles in the same time it takes me to walk a single mile. Running is actually better because I can run 3 miles in the same amount of time and I'm gonna burn more calories. And that's great, as long as you check off these other boxes. Time is not the only limiting factor, but it is an important one because you need to be able to fit your routine into a set time that you know you can achieve on a regular basis. And if you can't get enough cardio in with the time you're allotted, you are going to have to increase the intensity as much as possible until you reach another limiting factor. These other limiting factors, as I mentioned, are output and recovery. Now, output, I've kind of lumped in a few different things. If you really don't like running, then you're not gonna do it. So the enjoyment of something is also an important factor, and you need to find something that you enjoy, whether that's playing basketball, playing tennis, going on a hike, maybe swimming. You have to find the right type of cardio that is going to allow you to enjoy it because it should be enjoyable, and that's gonna allow you the consistency over a long period of time to make meaningful progress. The other thing that I've put into output is your actual ability to do that specific cardio workout. So if you're saying, I'm gonna run 3 miles, but then you go out there and you're huffing and puffing after 1 mile and you can't take another step, you're not gonna finish the 3 mile run. And so you might as well walk 3 miles instead if you had the time. So that is going to be a limiting factor, especially for somebody who is very overweight. They may struggle to simply walk to the mailbox a block down the street. There's no way they're going to be able to do a 1 mile run. So you need to start with something that's realistic for you and possible for you. And if you are constrained mostly by the amount of output you can put in, you are going to need to give yourself more time because you're going to be doing a lower intensity of cardio, like walking or swimming very slow laps. And that is going to slowly build up your potential output, which is then going to allow you to train at a higher intensity so you can then reduce your time. Another thing that I'm going to lump into output is if you're limited by certain injuries, because some people are not able to run because maybe of a knee injury or maybe it puts a lot of strain on their back. So they're going to have to, again, adapt their cardio to something different, whether that be a rowing machine, a bike, or doing a treadmill if you can't run outdoors because you've got concerns with ankle and unstable ground, whatever it may be. You need to tailor your training to meet your potential output and then work on the other aspects of time and recovery. That's going to bring us right into recovery. And we're working through these pretty quick because it is not that complicated once you really sit down and look at it from the right framework and start analyzing your own life based on these factors. So if you're enjoying this video, please take an opportunity to hit that like button. It really does support me and my small but growing channel. If you've seen some of my other videos already and enjoyed them, please hit that subscribe button for more. If this is your first time seeing a video of mine, please go check out some other videos on my channel. And if it seems to interest you, I would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. I would also love it if you drop a comment, share with me what you've been doing for cardio, your fitness journey, anything that might help other people who are coming to the comment section. And I look forward to interacting with you there. So let's jump into recovery. Recovery is a very important one for us not to neglect thinking about because, like I said, you could go for a 3 mile run in the same amount of time as doing a 1 mile walk. So obviously that's better. Well, maybe not, because if you do a 3 mile run and you are so sore you can't get out of bed the next day, or you can't do even a 1 mile walk for the next 2 or 3 days, then you're going to set yourself back. Because if you did just a 1 mile walk on day 1, 2, and 3, that's 3 miles worth of walking. But now you've done a 3 mile run on day 1, skipped day 2, day 3, and day 4, and now you're setting yourself behind because you couldn't continue with the consistency because you were limited by recovery. So it's important to factor in your potential recovery ability into your decisions for cardio training. Obviously, if I could just go out and sprint for an hour every single day, I'd be burning so many calories. And when I do play touch football, I basically am sprinting on and off with small breaks in between for about an hour at a time. And that is exhausting. And I can't do it much longer. And by the end, I'm definitely slowing down. But let me tell you, I could not get up and do that again the next day. Or if I did, it would be significantly less effective because I just don't recover. And really, it takes me almost that entire week to get back around to the weekend where I'm ready to go run again. So you really need to analyze what your potential is for output, the time you have available, and how fast you can recover from whatever that activity is. And you put all of that together to decide what type of cardio training is best for you, what the intensity should be, and how often you can do that. And it might end up being that you should be doing a less intense exercise like walking for a little extra time rather than a shorter sprint workout. If you have the ability to do some work calls while walking or do one of your hobbies like play Pokemon Go on your phone or listening to an audiobook or whatever it may be, to do that while walking, that's going to allow you a lot more time in your day to feel like you can put towards your cardio activity of walking. You can do some of that while running or jogging as well. If you're limited by the ability to go outside, the output of doing an activity outside, get a treadmill, go to a gym where there's a treadmill or a bike or a Stairmaster, whatever it may be, find the thing that works for you and then do whatever you can within the time you have available, as long as you're recovering fast enough to then go and do it again the next time you've scheduled yourself to do it. I really hope that this was helpful in getting a framework of how to assess what the best type of cardio is for your situation. If you have other thoughts or tips or considerations, please drop that in the comments below. Do check out some of the other videos on my channel. I'll link a couple up above, and I really hope to see you in the next video.